Hey everybody, Creek Stewart here with APOCABOX, and in my hand I have the willow leaf knife that was included in this month's, the December 2015 APOCABOX. I couldn't be more excited about this particular knife and this series of tools called the Aboriginal Woodshop. This is the first in the series, if you've read on the contents list, a series of 4 edged tools, all hand forged by Reptile Tool Works in Kentucky. The first one is the willow leaf knife. Now with these 4 tools over the course of the next 4 boxes, I don't think there's anything that you can't accomplish when it comes to a woodworking project in the woods, whether it's a survival scenario or if you're just out camping. They are 4 completely different tools with a set of very unique functions each. The willow leaf knife is a crooked knife, or some people say crooked. It's got a scoop blade, so it's designed for carving depressions, such as in a spoon, which is the project we're going to be working on today, or a cooksa. If you got your cooksa from a few APOCABOXes ago, you know that you can carve a cooksa using a scoop knife or a spoon knife or a crooked knife as well. This is shaped and designed after an actual willow leaf. You can see the tapered look of it. It's very cool. And the handles are interchangeable. You can pull this out of this handle. It's just pressure fitted into this dowel handle. You could make a more natural handle. You could use an antler. You could use, you could use a really cool looking piece of birch or sassafras and make some kind of really rustic handle for this. But the willow leaf knife is designed for carving depressions. It's designed for scooping out spoon bowls and cups and things like that. So I'm going to kind of take you step by step through the spoon carving process. Included in your APOCABOX this month is not only instructions on and tips and tricks on how to use the willow leaf crooked knife, but also a spoon blank so that you have something to start with right out of the gate. Now you don't have to use a pre-carved spoon blank like this. You can use a half piece of split wood. You can use all kinds of different things. I'm a big fan of using roots. We had a big tree fall over at Willow Haven last year and I got a bunch of really cool maple roots that I've been carving into spoons. But today we're going to use the spoon blank that I've included in your APOCABOX. Now this willow leaf knife is razor sharp. I mean, this sucker will slice you open faster than butter. And so be very careful when using it. They are all hand sharpened, all hand forged, and they are made to be hair popping sharp. So be extremely careful. But I'm only going to be using 2 tools. I'm going to be using the willow leaf crooked knife to carve out the bowl in my spoon. And then I'm going to be using my Kellum camp knife. If you got the Kellum knife in the APOCABOX several boxes ago, you already know what an amazing carving tool this knife is. So these 2 tools I'm going to use to carve my spoon today. And I'm just going to kind of take you, I'm going to pull the camera in really tight and I'm going to take you through step by step on exactly how to use these knives to carve this spoon. So it's a really fun holiday project. This makes an incredible gift around the holidays, and I really hope you enjoy carving this spoon around in your downtime around the holidays, whether you're out at camp, just hanging out in the woods, or whether you're inside. You know, it doesn't create that big of a mess. It's just wood shavings. They sweep up really easily. I'm going to carve mine right here on the hearth here at Willow Haven. So let's get to it and let's show you how to use these 2 knives to carve an awesome looking spoon. Now there's about 100 different ways to carve a spoon and to use these 2 tools to get this job done, but I am going to carve the bowl in my spoon first and then kind of shape the spoon around the bowl. You could do it the other way. You could shape your spoon and then carve your bowl last, but I'm gonna actually carve the bowl to my spoon first and then shape my spoon a little bit later, and then maybe I'll come in and touch up using the willow leaf knife in general. So there's 2 different types of cuts that you can make with this willow leaf knife. One is kind of a pull cut where you're pulling with you're pulling kind of toward you using, you know, a slow steady pressure with your fingers and your wrist. And then there's a push cut where you kind of put your thumb at the base of this willow leaf knife and you're pushing using your other thumb to make small cuts. Now, you're not going to make big kind of gouging indentations with this knife. You know, carving is a patient man's game or a patient woman's game. So you're going to make small, controlled cuts and just slowly work your bowl with this spoon. You can kind of see what I'm going to do here to start. So I'm just making nice, slow cuts. We're going to start by kind of drilling in a little hole right in the middle here. Gives us a nice little place to start. And then I kind of work from that hole typically. Once you get a depression started, you can really start working on that depression. And again, guys, you're working pretty tight with your hands here, so be very, very, very careful. You're not doing big, long cuts with this knife. You're just doing small, controlled, gouging cuts. So as you can see here, just with a few cuts, scoops, push and pull cuts with that willow leaf knife, I've got a decent little depression already going. It's not nearly enough for a spoon yet, but it's a really good start. And all I'm doing is I'm just working my way all the way around this bowl, kind of finishing up cuts as I work around. I'm a big fan of the pull cut. You know, we're just kind of working our finger. Really, I'm just kind of pulling my index finger toward me as I'm cutting. There we go. Kind of working one side and then coming in on the other side. And you can work different angles of the knife too. And you need a shallower, we need a tighter bowl. We can work the tip of the knife a little bit more. There we go. You know, you can come in and you can do some push cuts down in there. There we go. Just slowly working the shape of that spoon. We just want a nice spoon-shaped bowl. If you look at most spoons, the bowl isn't really that deep. So there's not a whole lot of work that has to be done to get a really decent little spoon bowl going here. Now, this is a task literally impossible for straight edge blades. This is the specific function of the willow leaf knife. This is where this knife excels and makes for a very unique bush tool to have in your kit. Now, is a spoon going to save your life? No, it's not going to save your life. Is a bowl going to save your life? Maybe. You know, if you make a bowl out of this, maybe you could rock boil water in a bowl and it could theoretically save your life. A spoon isn't going to save your life, but I tell you what, it sure is relaxing in a survival scenario, even to sit around a campfire and carve a spoon. It sure boosts morale. You know, but a lot of us, you know, we're not just working on survival skills for survival itself. We do this because we enjoy the outdoors. We love spending time with nature and other people who enjoy campcraft and things like that. And a lot of this is about how can we spend time in the outdoors, feel productive, relax, have fun, and learn something. And boy, you just don't get a better skill that accomplishes all of those tasks than carving. You could do this while hanging out with buddies at a fire, or if you're at your own camp that you've kind of called your little place in the woods. What a great little project to tackle one afternoon by the fire, especially as the weather's getting a little colder. I've been working on this maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm trying to get a good angle there so you can see this spoon blank. We got a really nice little impression going there. Actually, it's about an average teaspoon or tablespoon impression, but I'm gonna go a little bit deeper because we've got a really nice blank here. I'm gonna keep going a little bit. And I'm going to keep going for a little while, and then I'll show you my progress. I'm just using the same exact cuts over and over. It's either a simple push cut, like this right here, or a pull cut, like this right here. We'll carve for about 15 more minutes and show you my progress with the bowl. I'm not going to touch anything else except the bowl of this spoon. There, I'm really getting a good depression in my spoon right now. And that's about as deep as I want to go. I'm not trying to make a ladle. You could easily make a small ladle out of the spoon blank that you have. But I am simply trying to make just a very traditional, shallow bowled spoon for eating some type of simple stew, some type of broth. And this is going to be just about perfect for that. You can see the depression there. What a great little spoon depression I've got going. I'm just going to kind of carve that out a little bit more. It's almost the same exact shape now as my willow leaf knife, so carving is really, really easy. I'm just trading it back and forth and just kind of doing really controlled pull cuts there and just kind of shaving out the bottom and the sides of that spoon bowl. Now I'm holding my knife steady here and I'm moving my spoon so I can get the tip of that crooked knife to the back of that bowl so that I can shave the sides down a little bit, because I want to shave the sides down just a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing right here where I'm moving my spoon. I'm kind of holding my knife in the same location. Great thing about this particular willow leaf knife is it's ambidextrous. Doesn't matter if you're left-handed or right-handed. It's double-edged. It's a blade on both sides, so you can work it as an ambidextrous tool. A lot of spoon knives, you got to have a left and a right. This one, though, is universal. And I think that does it right there for the bowl of my spoon. Now I'm going to use the Kellum Camp knife to finish this spoon out. Perfect. You know what I always say? Whenever you're not using your knife, it's always in its sheath for safety. And the sheath on this knife is a piece of rubber hose. Now some of you may get creative and use your Speedy Stitcher that was enclosed a couple of boxes ago to make your own sheath for this knife. I'd be curious to see images of those if you do that. Hashtag APOCABOX on Instagram. But for now, I'll use the rubber hose for mine. And now this is where creative expression is going to really come out in this spoon. You could do all kinds of things. You could come up. I think what I'll do is come up a little bit, make a real kind of swollen, kind of a palm swell in this spoon, do something kind of creative looking. Man, this Kellum, it just literally cuts wood like butter. It literally cuts wood like butter. It's unbelievable. This knife is unreal. So I'm just going to start taking weight off of this spoon and really start shaping this spoon. You want to be careful so that you don't carve up through the bottom of your spoon. You don't want a spoon with a hole in it. You have to start all over. See, I'm just kind of rounding out the bottom of that spoon. This shouldn't take too long. You could spend a lot of time. See, I took a big chunk off there, so I got to be careful. You could spend a lot of time detailing your spoon, but I really like the look of a rough carved tool. So I'm not going to detail mine too much.
but I do want to be able to use it. I want it to be functional. I'm not just going to hang it on the wall. See that shaping up a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing right here, except I'm going to kind of thin out that neck a little bit because I want a nice fat palm swell, just to give me a little bit of, I don't know, to make it a little bit unique right there. So I'm going to take this neck down. I could even come in here and use my, see I'm kind of getting into a little dip right there. Could even bring my willow leaf knife in here, turn it over, and do some of those smaller cuts even. You know, really use it to scoop out that little valley. Works great for that. You know, where a straight edge blade is hard to get a curved feel, whereas this little crooked knife, this little willow leaf knife is going to make tasks like that really perfect. Okay, well, I'm going to continue to shape, and I'll get back with you here in just a few minutes. All right, now you can see I'm working my way down from the bowl to the handle of this spoon. See, kind of as the bowl of my spoon emerges there. And this is all the excess that I'll cut off. But I'm getting there. You know, there's still a lot of weight on this spoon. There's still a lot of weight on there. But now I'll just take little tiny, just carve off little tiny slivers up here now. No big sweeping motions up here now, because it'd be easy to take off a big split. So I'm just coming up here and I'm just, little tiny pieces. I'm just going to detail kind of the outside of this spoon, always carving away from my body. There we go. Just little tiny cuts. I'm just rounding off that spoon a little bit. Going to kind of tighten up the edge here, because if you look at a regular spoon, the edge is pretty sharp, really. So you want to bring in the exterior so that you've got a nice little rim around that spoon. You don't want it to be a big fat rimmed spoon. You want it to be a nice thin rim, have a nice thin rim on it. You got to be really careful when you're going with the grain of wood. You can really easily split off some big pieces that could be devastating to fix. So I'm going to be really careful with that kind of stuff. If it starts to split off, I'm going to be really careful. You want to stop what you're doing and come in from a different angle. It's always good to come in from an angle that's not going necessarily with the grain. See, I'm just kind of tightening up the rim around that spoon, making it look just a little better. I mean, you could use this spoon right now as a spoon. You don't even have to do anything with the handle. This is totally functional as a spoon right now. This would hold just as much as any kitchen spoon in your kitchen would hold right now. And you could easily use that and drink a broth or a stew. But now, because I'm carving with the grain here, I'm doing short little push cuts. I'm pushing with my thumb. See how I've got my thumb on the back of this blade here? I'm pushing with my thumb these nice little shortcuts so that they're very, very controlled. Because the last thing I want to do is split a huge chunk off of my spoon at this point. I've worked too hard on it. Even though I've only been going for 10 or 12 minutes, I still have worked too hard to ruin it now. we're just going to do nice, small push cuts. And I might even come in with my willow leaf knife here in a little bit and just shape up the neck of that spoon because it's got kind of a curved bowl shape. That'd be perfect. It'd be perfect for that. Now remember, I'm keeping a big swell in the end here, so I'm just kind of shave down the neck of this spoon. Almost like you were making a feather stick. It's very controlled. Very controlled push cuts. Most of the cuts that I'll make from here on out will be small push cuts with my thumb, because I just don't want to split this spoon out now. I'm really excited to see the huge variety in the different shapes that individuals are going to do. Don't forget to post these guys on Instagram, #APOCABOX, because this is such a fun project to see how people have, really made these spoons their own. And I'm going to keep the butt end of mine, the handle end, really fat. And I'm going to shape this up and make it kind of long, and I'll put some high detailed, some really high res, nice looking photos at the end of this video so you can see exactly what the finished product looks like. Hopefully I don't screw this one up. At the time of filming, I only have one spoon blank here, so the pressure's on. I can't screw this one up because I do not get my finished kits in until about the day before we start packing to ship. So I've got one spoon blank here, so I can't screw this up. If I do, this is going to really affect my video. So now I'm just kind of tapering this neck. Okay, so I'm going to continue to taper the neck and the handle of this spoon, leaving a palm swell for the handle. And I'll get back with you here in just a few minutes. I tell you what, I think I'm going to call this spoon almost finished. You could spend an insane amount of time just detailing a spoon. This is what I would just call a good functional spoon. I haven't taken the time to really detail this spoon out, thin out. You could definitely thin out the meat around this bowl a little bit so that it's smaller and can easily go into your mouth. You could certainly use this as a spoon as is, but you could, if I were going to take this spoon to the next step, I would take some meat off of the bowl, the underside of the bowl of this spoon, so it's a little smaller to use. And then I would just take and do little tiny cuts and just detail the exterior of this spoon, and maybe take some sanding paper to it and sand it down a little bit. But that really is the step-by-step process on how to carve a spoon, or how at least I carve a spoon. There's certainly more than one right way to do it. I left a lot of meat on the handle of this. I like a nice full handle. I start with the bowl and get the bowl exactly the way I want it, and then shape my spoon around the bowl. And I think this makes for a really great camp spoon. You know, there's nothing quite like the feeling of making your own campcraft tools using simple edged blades like the willow leaf knife. So much of doing chores and projects like this in the field around camp or in a survival scenario and doing them safely and efficiently is about the tool that you're using. And that's exactly why I'm doing this series, The Aboriginal Woodshop, is to provide you with a very specific set of tools that allow you to do a very specialized set of functions.
Everybody knows that I'm a huge fan of the fixed blade straight edge knife. That's no secret. I love knives. I love standard straight edge fixed blade knives. But I'll be the first to tell you that they have their limitations when you're trying to do specific things like we've learned today. Carving a depression for a spoon, a bowl, or a cook soap, or some type of a serving platter. It's just very difficult to do with a straight edge knife. This is the first of 4 Aboriginal woodshop tools. The other 3 are just as impressive. They're all hand forged. They all do a very specialized task. And with the set, you can literally accomplish almost anything, from camp furniture to building bow and arrows to carving spoons and anything and everything in between. This is such an awesome holiday project. I hope you enjoyed or enjoy carving your spoon with your willow leaf crooked knife, and I hope it comes out really well. And I'm really excited to see all the different varieties that come out of this project. You can treat your spoon with mineral oil. You can treat your spoon with walnut oil. Both prevent them from cracking and aging. But you can fill any cracks, FYI, with a little bit of pine pitch resin glue that you also know how to make from this APOCABOX. So enjoy this project. Be safe. Don't cut yourselves. I don't want to see any pictures of bloody spoons on Instagram. So good luck, post your pics, and we'll see you at the next APOCABOX. I've got some awesome projects planned for the second tool in the Aboriginal Woodshop series. Take care, God bless, and remember, it's not if, but when.